just good solid points again today, and hopefully we can do it again tomorrow.
May you both enjoy the celebrations.
No worries, thanks guys. Cheers.
It's been a really entertaining day of racing so far, and there is still plenty more to come. Fabian, I want to talk to you. We caught up with Tony D'Alberto. This time last year, got his first ever race win in this category, and it turned his championship around, and he went on to win the championship. The Hyundai's come here leading the title race this time, yet to win at Queensland Raceway. So it shows you that anything's possible in this game, and also shows you the fine margins when we talk championships.
Yeah, absolutely right. And, you know, you can transform your season at one venue. So for Tony, this was the venue where he had great success. You know, he starts P2 today. Personally, I think that's a better side to start from because it's the side that gets the most running. And traditionally, the Honda's pretty good off the starts.
What about the season so far? Because we've still got plenty of racing to come, both this weekend and then what's going to follow us. We'll go to Sandown, then we'll go to Sydney Motorsport Park under lights and finish it off at Mount Panorama at Bathurst. So those final 2 rounds will feature the World Tour drivers, which I'm going to ask you about in just a sec. But your snapshot of 2023, if you had to pick a favourite now for the title, where would you lean?
I think you can't go past the Hyundais. You know, Bailey Sweeney's performance at Bathurst last year. I know Bathurst isn't the only event left, but, you know, that car was pretty much unstoppable. So as long as he does everything right and continues the form that he's got, I feel like, yeah, definitely Bailey Sweeney and the Hyundai is the one to watch.
It's been confirmed that we'll have at least 9 of the top drivers from the TCR World Tour coming here. So the top 9 of the current top 15 are already locked in. They'll be here for Sydney, and then they'll be here for Bathurst, and everyone wants to race Bathurst. Sydney's going to be tricky because it's under lights. It's a rip-roaring circuit. So we've got, 2 world champions in the field. I think combined we're looking at over 100 race wins. We're looking at the best of the best internationally. So this global series that we've got, how do the Aussies sort of put up a defence on that, and what should the internationals expect when they come out here?
I think our quality in our field here in Australia is very good. So hopefully the Aussies can give it a run to the Euros that are coming over. But obviously the knowledge and understanding of their cars and package, they've got a very good handle on. But we've got a great handle on the circuits here in Australia. So I think it should level itself out pretty well.
Do this for me quickly. Let's just say that I'm one of the international drivers. I've never been to Bathurst before. What's your advice?
Well, I'm sure they'll be doing what everyone does and gets on the simulator and trying to get as much experience as they can prior to getting here. But, you know, there's no substitute for actually going to Bathurst and driving it. So once they get there, I think they'll understand what Bathurst is all about.
Which is the wow factor times everything. Big crowd building here. Great scenes on the front straight as we get ready for our next race. Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia, featuring a very well-known face in Australian motorsport. It's great to have Tim Slade back.
Tim Slade, you're here this weekend as a driver. We'll get to that in a moment, but we see you at every round with Trans Am and the Racing Academy. Tell us about the role for you there as a mentor.
The connection first came about a mutual friend between myself and with Tom Williamson. You know, he runs a very successful big karting team, and he and I actually used to race against each other in juniors in karting. So yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and just trying to give them some of my knowledge and experience that I've gained throughout my career, and it's been quite enjoyable. I think they've actually progressed quite a lot since the start of the year. I think with the cars and as a team, and the drivers as well, as you saw with the results at the last rounds.
So tell us, how did this come about? Tom Oliphant's not here. He's off getting married. That's a fair excuse, I guess, to not be racing cars. But how did you get the seat?
I grew up in Adelaide and then moved to Melbourne when I was 18 or 19 and started working at Sonic Motor Racing, Mick and Maria Ritter's team. And Ash worked there. He was looking after the Porsches. I really enjoy working with people that do things properly. I know when I step into this car, it's the best prepared car in the field. Ash is pretty cluey with all the setup side of things as well. And basically you think something and he says it. So yeah, it's cool to work with someone like that.
TCR, Trans Am, S5000. You've done them all. If you had to pick one to race in for the rest of your career, which one would it be?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Trans Am was good fun. They're both pretty good, hard racing. I like probably a bit more of the technology in these cars, but also that I guess, serves its purpose well in Trans Am, being, you know, a bit more basic. So yeah, tough one. Maybe I could. Don't know if I'd want to do double duties with the Trans Am and TCR, but maybe alternate weekend to weekend.
Slade, it's great to see you back here, racing one of our cars as part of the Speed Series, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, Stubbsy. Cheers.
He's quite a character, isn't he? It's always great to see Tim Slade here. I tell you what, the conditions are absolutely perfect for racing. Wherever you're watching back at home or if you're here at the track, everybody's got a great vantage point. Stubbsy, what have you got for us?
I've got a great vantage point here on the second row of the grid with our defending champion, Tony D'Alberto. TD, this is where it all happened for you last year, and you need probably a similar result this weekend, don't you?
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? We had a dream run last year. The car was absolutely fantastic, and it's been great all weekend so far. So we'll see how it plays out in the race, but we're definitely in the mix. We've just got to try and catch this guy right in front of me here. He's got his little contract in his back pocket, and he's away.
Well, that should be weighing him down, the weight of all those extra zeros from Triple Eight. He's talking, of course, of Will Brown. Have you got anything for the Audi? Where is this car good at this place?
Oh, look, the high-speed stuff is generally pretty good, but, you know, you do need track position here, so hopefully I can get a good start and maybe get around him. If we can do that, then I think we've got a chance, but we'll just see how the race plays out, see how the car looks after its tyres. We haven't done some long runs just yet, but, yeah, we're in the mix and looking good.
TD, go well.
Thank you, cheers.
We'll move on from there because I just spotted Renee Gracie over the back of the car here, and Renee has just wrapped up, as we detailed in that GT race, the title for the championship year for the trophy class. Renee, congratulations. How's that sit with you?
Thank you. Yeah, it's surreal. I don't think it's sunk in yet. Like I said before, it's not really something I set out to do, so I think it's just a sweetener to end the series and to end the season. And I think it's deserving for Griffo, the boys, everyone who's helped me this year and taken me on board and taken me under his wing. And I think it's a big, massive thank you. I can't return it any other way except maybe a championship.
Hard work, and it's well reserved and deserved, so all the best. Enjoy the celebration.
Thank you so much.
So the countdown is on to race one. Supercheap Auto TCR Australia. Of course, Supercheap Auto, great supporters not only of this category but of the Bathurst International coming our way. Benjamin Ward is the managing director, who's been a very busy man because you've got activations going on. We've got the sponsorship of this category, Bathurst, to look forward to. Tell us the reaction, especially to some of the activations that you've had going on here this weekend.
Well, they've been super, Matt. That's the obvious answer. No, the fans are loving it. The kids are loving it. We've got all sorts of activations, no matter the age. So we're absolutely loving it, and the fans are loving it as well.
When we think about what's ahead of us at Mount Panorama, I mean, it is going to be enormous. And we just pointed out the World Tour coming this way, the kind of drivers and the calibre that we've got. I reckon more to come as well. We're building towards something very big.
Yeah, Supercheap Auto are super excited to go back to the mountain. We've been going to Mount Panorama for over 25 years, and we're really excited to be back for our second running of the Bathurst International.
Do you get to enjoy a race weekend? I mean, I know how busy you are. We talk about drivers who, you know, have 2 or 3 jobs across the course of a weekend. You've got all sorts of moving parts. So do you get to actually just sit back and relax?
No, but the racing is spectacular. I mean, if you look at the ARG categories, particularly the TCR, and this year at Mount Panorama, of course, we've got the World Tour, so the best of the world TCR drivers up against our guys from TCR Australia, and it's going to be an incredible sight to watch, so I'm hoping to find some time to do that.
Well, thanks so much for your support of this category. Can't wait to get to Mount Panorama at the back end of the year. Enjoy the rest of your day and the weekend.
Thanks, Matt. Cheers.
All right, Fabian.
Josh Buchan, you know, obviously a little error in qualifying, put you a little bit further down on the grid.
Yeah, I didn't do a good job in Q2, simple as that. Q1 was probably more where I'm positioned pace-wise, and then I gave 2/10 away in Q2, and you can't do that in any category, let alone this one. So, yeah, a bit further back, but I think we've got a stronger car than where we are.
All right, all the best.
Thanks, big fella.
So I'm standing here at grid spot number 2. No car. Bailey Sweeney was supposed to be here, our championship leader. He came into this weekend with a lead of 36 points. That was eaten away a little bit because points are scored for pole position by Will Brown. So a kill switch or battery problem, the team is saying, for the Hyundai. He will start from pit lane, so that's massive news in terms of the championship. I'll jump on in here with Will Brown. I'm just reaching around behind that net there. And Will, you're starting. You're going to undo it for me. You happy with that? We've had problems with that earlier in this series, haven't we, in Trans Am, but we won't talk about that. Will, no one alongside. That happened to you. You were on the receiving end of that down in Tassie, but it makes it a little bit easier for you off the line.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Bailey. It's disappointing for him. He's having a great season, so it's upsetting for him not to get the start here. It would have been good to battle him into one, but I've got to make sure I don't stuff it up and these two behind me get it. So I just got to get off the line, get through the first lap, and then manage it from there.
Well, great to see you back here, and you're off the front. All the best of luck.
Cheers, thank you.
It's quite a weird side, isn't it, Stubbsy? So position number 2 on the grid is vacant. Will Brown has the front row all to himself. Behind him, our defending series champion in Tony D'Alberto with Tim Slade alongside. So this is it, Super Cheap Auto Race 1 of TCR Australia here at Queensland Raceway. Your commentators, Greg Rust and Matt Nolte.
Matty, thank you. Want to say a quick g'day as well to Stephen Richards, many-time Bathurst winner. He's just sent a picture from home where he's watching the action, and hopefully we get to see Clay Richards back a part of this series. It was great to have him, Matt, last time out at Winton, which was action-packed.
How's the British touring car stuff going into turn number 1 down there at Winton? This was Cox into D'Alberto in turn number 3, which dropped the reigning champ down a couple of positions. And in this one for Buchan, he really had to work hard at getting the I-30 sedan back onto the track, but would lose position. But what a run. Pole position for the Cupra, and the first win for Carl Cox Motorsport and Michael Clementi.
And they've got great support from Cupra here again this weekend. Tom Oliphant, who's off getting married this weekend back home in England, led the way in the Alfa Romeo, the Auto Glim entry from Clay Richards in the Shannon's Audi, which is here on display this weekend, as we said. Hopefully he's back behind the wheel of that machine real soon. Wild ride for Jordan Cox. You do not see that happen very often. He is so good. Got a deft touch when it comes to front-wheel drive machine. Oliphant wins.
Nice job in that race. And this was Tony D'Alberto, easily the best start, but would drop back into 3rd spot. Oliphant was relieved of his position by Clementi as they worked their way up through the back section. So Clementi was being hung out to dry a couple of times here during race number 3, but then it would end in the wall. Big time here, and a lot of work for the Clementi team to do in between rounds. I'm probably happy that we had the extended break, but out in front, series leader put another W next to the name, his 3rd victory of the season.
Here's your track guide with Josh Buchan.
All right, folks, welcome to Queensland Raceway, the circuit where you can guarantee the weather's going to be good, which is a lovely change after our weekend at Winton not too long ago. 4th round of TCR Australia, crossing the line. I'm going to take you for a lap in my I-30N sedan, braking into turn 1. Oh, I got no brake temp, I got no rear tyre temp. Super fast corner, well over 150 in the middle of it. Turn 2, you just try and hold on as much as you can, and such an important corner. You have such a long straight following up into 5th gear. You'll kind of get to the top of 5th, probably in 7th in some of the other quicker cars. Where am I going to brake? I'll brake at the 150. I'm soft. Pull up. Closer to the 100 when you're racing or going for a lap. Out of turn 3. I'm just going to delete a lap there and use all the exit. And again, similar sort of story. Long straight, so the exit's super important. Braking into turn 4. What gear? 2nd. Wow, slow. Slowest part of the circuit. And it's not actually, it's actually quite quick. What's the 140 there? Bloody hell, it's too quick for me. I'm a bit scared when it gets over that sort of speed. Into the last corner now. I had a massive incident here last year with my teammate and Benny Barks. That was huge. And that sort of stuff around QR is so common. It can end your weekend, it can make it, it can break it. And hopefully we have one of those ones where it makes our season, our weekend, and that's a lap. It's pretty hectic out there. Lots of bumps. Thanks for the ride. See you over the weekend.
He's a cool customer, isn't he? Josh Buchan starting from position number 8, and this is how the grid looks. 10 precious points going to Will Brown, and the Liquimoli Audi starts from the pole. Bailey Sweeney was to start from 2. He'll start from pit lane. D'Alberto and Slade on that 2nd row. Rusty, Bargwanna and Cox, Buchan and Suter, Manif, Clementi, Harris, Garland and Aaron Cameron, who had dramas with the E-Valvoline Peugeot at the tail of the field. Race 1, 21 laps. It's the 23rd round of Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia.
All in readiness, all set. turbocharged power. 4-cylinder machines, that vacant spot on the front of the grid. Bailey Sweeney with all the work to do. Brown's been dynamite this weekend. No, Tim Slade. Slade struggles to get that Lincoln Co entry away. Brown leads them into one from the driver who dominated here in Queensland last year in Tony D'Alberto, our reigning champion.
Held our breath, didn't we? We got away, but he's dropped a ton of pace. Watch for Bailey Sweeney. I haven't seen come out onto the track still in the background of that shot. Meantime, 2019 champion leads us down the back straight. Will Brown, but it's angry. It's angry in the middle of the pack, and it's not going. In the Shannon's pit lane for Bailey Sweeney. He's moved about a car length, and that could be a game changer in the series.
That's huge for the guy who's been so strong at all sorts of different venues for HMO Customer Racing. It will not fire. They got it going to get it to pit exit, and then when we basically went green where he had to start from, it's happened again. Manif's in the thick of the battle. Out in front, here's your Liqua Moly entry. Runs over the curbs, a casual look at the rearview mirror. Where's D'Alberto? Behind him. 0.3.
Looks a bit busy, doesn't he?
Doesn't he?
Right mirror, centre mirror. D'Alberto sits behind him there. A track that was very kind to TD last year. Really set his championship sail for home, didn't it? In the Honda Civic, and still the Sweeney car sits at the top of pit lane. He needs to get out there on the track, at least get classified and get some points. He extended the championship margin by 7 after qualifying on the front road today. But you need to finish races in Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia. Will Brown leads from D'Alberto. Jordan Cox, Zach Suter, Ben Bargwanna, who's got Josh Bucket right in the back of his Burson Auto Parts entry. Suter looking to make the move here.
He's racing.
Well, oh, this is a real shame. HMO Customer Racing car being towed back down the lane.
He hails from the south coast of New South Wales. This youngster, as we said, has been tremendous at all sorts of different venues. Can you believe this championship? We're beginning what is basically the second half of the season. That's a huge blow to Bailey Sweeney. Now, I said it before, the car of Zach Suter, a similar Audi, the same kind of Audi being raced by our leader in Will Brown, sits in fourth. He had the fastest middle sector last time by, but Jordan Cox, who's talked this weekend like they're struggling a little bit, not quite fighting with one arm behind their back in the Peugeot, but relative to the pace of the Audis, he doesn't seem like he's been super happy. He's a hard customer to get past.
100%. Here's Josh Bucket. The message would have gone out now that the teammate's been towed back. Time to move forward in the I-30 sedan as he goes past Ben Bargwanna, who tries to repay it. Close my eyes for a moment. Now remember, 0 points. It was out to 43 at the start of the race. If he gets 0 and Josh Bucket gets 40, we're going to have a 3-point margin going into tomorrow.
Look at this down the inside, almost on the grass. Is he going to get by? So Sweeney gets away, and we've got a change for third place. Zach Suter moves into P3. Look at Jordan Cox. Comes out of that turn, but he's not in the right place now, Matt, for the middle part of what we affectionately call the paperclip here. Suter's got it.
Doing his best John Bow impersonation, one would think. Parks it down the middle of that short straight and covers off Jordan Cox. So Suter in the Audi. Good to see both the newer spec Audis running well here at Queensland Raceway as Brown out to 1.5 seconds. Bailey Sweeney with all the work to do now. He failed to get out before the start of the pit exit closing. He's now a lap down at the tail of the field.
Solid stuff from Aaron Cameron too. Let's not forget, Matt detailed some of the dramas he had during qualifying from the back of the pack. He's up 5 places already into position number 8 in the E. Valvoline Peugeot and chasing his stablemate in Cody Garland. There they are.
So Peugeot City here. We look back to Garland. So Bargwanna, Garland, Cameron, Manif back in 9th, Clementi in the Cupra, who's got Manif side by side, door handle to door handle, and Brad Harris trying to push the Carl Cox Motorsport Cupra along there. The exclusive switchboards Honda Civic looking to expand later this year. And there's Tim Slade with a full head of steam in the Autoglim Lincoln Co car. At the back of this group, we jump in car with the number 11 subbing for Tom Oliphant, who's away getting married back in the UK. We'll see the former British touring car star back later this year, but for now, his car is in some very capable hands.
Should say congrats to he and Jen, shouldn't we? We'll keep an eye on this title fight. Cars in over the ripple strip. Good hands, as you say. Tim Slade, who's driven so many things so well. A little bit of a lock break from the Honda Civic. Deep goes the Lincoln Co entry. The Auto Glim entry of Tim Slade. Lights on for Michael Clementi, who's got a car length or two here now on the car of Lockie Maneath.
Into one. So Harris with Slade behind. Those guys back in 11th and 12th position. And Sweeney just hoping he has no more dramas in this race and at least gets the classification. We'll give him 32 points as it stands at the moment, but it will shrink the margin back when we come back to tomorrow's race. If you're not familiar with Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia, tomorrow, top 10 inversion. So if you're Lockie Maneath right now that stays this way, he'll start from the pole for race number 2 here tomorrow.
That was cool, that onboard lap with Josh Buchan before, and one of the shots you could see the little stickers on the side of the door. Pole sticker and a couple of wins. Phillip Island was a good hunting ground for Josh Buchan, wasn't it?
He loved it. And this car that came online late last year, it's the newer of the Hyundais that we'll start to see into 2024. And of course, the guys touched on the top of this race. Look at that left rear just dancing in the air. The Schaeffler Picture Partners Peugeot of Jordan Cox. When the internationals come out, we've got 9 of the best drivers coming out later this year for the Sydney Bathurst doubleheader. It's just going to really energise this series going into a new season next year. So we start lap 6. You look at Bargwana, Garland and Cameron in the identical E. Valvoline Peugeots. Maneath in 10th spot. As the race settles, Brown out to 3 seconds to Alberto. Sweeney's continuing on here, Rusty, but he's 2 seconds off the pace of the cars ahead. He's got clear air as well. So maybe he's just trying to preserve the tyres, look after it. There's no point trying to go forward here. It's just a case of just getting it to the line. Matt brought up the double header there before as the 2 E. Valvoline entries go side by side through the middle part of the track. Just remember, motorsporttickets.com.au as Cameron gets that move done and gets ahead of Garland into 7th place. That's the place to go for tickets for both Sydney and for the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International. Fabs?
Yeah, I've just been down to HMO Customer Racing and spoke to Bailey Sweeney's dad, and he says that he seems to think it's a battery problem, and as the battery charges and then drains, that's creating the ignition cut and the loss of power. So that explains why Bailey's lap times aren't quite as good as they should be.
Well done. Fabian Coulthard on duty in the lane, along with Chris Stubbs with us for this one. You are watching Super Cheap Auto TCR live from Queensland Raceway. Brown leads by 3.3 seconds.
And there is the margin, 3.3 seconds on your Race Fuels leaderboard. Tony D'Alberto, 2nd position. And just knows this is a good way to keep his championship hopes alive with Bailey Sweeney. And how often do we see this, Rusty, in motorsport, where you think a guy's in a box seat and then something comes along like that, completely changes the game. That's the beauty of motorsport.
And that's our point of difference here too, Matt, because we are a little bit more of a compressed championship. Something like that, you might think, okay, 3 races across the weekend, there is a chance to bounce back from that, but it is a blow, a really significant blow.
Massively, and it's happened to this guy. Of course, our official fuel supplier of the Shannon Speed Series Race Fuels. I do love their new Bowser and apron they've got out the back here too, part of the renovations that have gone on here at Queensland Raceway. Martini and the fantastic crew spent some time over at Le Mans, like one of our co-commentators did earlier this year. Still having Cairo from that as well, from carrying his workload that weekend, Rusty.
Monsieur Crail, back aboard here.
It'll get back to me, I don't care.
How cool does this bloke look? Seriously, a weekend where there's been all sorts of intense media interest. He's here with us. There's all sorts of other things going on in relation to his career, and he's just delivered. Yes, it's a good car. It's a very good team in Melbourne Performance. They've had some real hurdles with this Audi so far this year. Wasn't able to contest the last round with us at Winton. He comes from Toowoomba. He's got an enormous future, and in everything he's jumped behind the wheel of, he's been successful. So, you know, naturally, as we said before, there'll be people who'll be little bit disappointed that he's leaving Erebus. He's endeavoured to handle it as professionally as he can, and you know what? Change is a part of our business, Matt. He's not the Lone Ranger.
And it opens up a seat there for another up-and-coming star to come
exactly.
in. So it's not doom and gloom for Erebus by any stretch as he leads another lap. Talking about stretching, margins out to nearly 4 seconds. And D'Alberto sets his fastest lap of the race, 1:15.06. We're still 2 seconds away. Of course, a different spec tyre this year. We're on Kumo tyres to bring us into line with the Global Tour that will be here at the end of the year. 2 seconds away from the lap record of last year as we head into the setting sun. What a day it's been. High 20s the temperature. There's just this one annoying cloud out there right now. It's just starting to break up to let the sun come out for one last burst.
Just incidentally too, if you would like to find out more information, we've talked about 9 world-class drivers that are all a part of the Kumo TCR World Tour that are coming down under. We've announced that today. Simon Chapman from Wide World of Sports broke the story on the website this morning, so you can find it there. And what I love about that, Matt, not just the names, not just the kind of cars that they're in and the fact that they're coming down under, is the fact that the Aussies here and some of the cars that aren't necessarily competing here this weekend, you know what, we're going to step up in relation to that. Aussies taking on the world, we're renowned for that sort of stuff, and we're ready to step up to the plate.
Good measuring stick too. We'll have the likes of Nesta Girolami join us for that event as well, who dominated at Sandown in the inaugural year of TCR.
Watching them come across the start-finish line here at Queensland Raceway. Sun setting on a glorious winter's day here. The venue looks magnificent. Tony Quinn, who owns Queensland Raceway along with Highlands, Hampton Downs and Taupo in New Zealand, all the work that's gone on at every one of those tracks makes them a joy to visit, and the refurbishment of this place is noticed in just about every corner that you go to. Focus back on the racing here on the field of play. Michael Clementi is up into 9th place. Now, that Carl Cox Motorsport Cupra was in the wars after the final lap at Winton, in the wall. Lots of late nights and weekends with that car being repaired. It hasn't necessarily looked like it's been back to its best, shall we say, Matt, but in race trim here, a little bit further down the grid, he's now starting to make some ground. He's flashing lights and giving Cody Garland a little bit of a hurry up.
Must be irritating. Oh, this is dramas for Sweeney. So Fabian Coulthard did remark this, that they have a battery issue. It's not charging up properly, so it's going to falter during the race, and maybe also he's letting the faster guys go through at the same time. Yep, that's what's happened. And tucks himself back in behind this crew of cars. Gave us a little bit of a heart moment, didn't it?
Fabian Coulthard Auto Electrical, how may I help you? Brown's lead is out to nearly 5 seconds now. 4.8 it is over Tony D'Alberto, who's up 1 place, the reigning champion from where he started. Suter made great ground at the start, and that's a good fight. We need to just keep a close eye on that. There's 0.6 between D'Alberto and Suter in the fight for second. Here's Ben Bargwanna in 6th place. He's ahead of a hard-charging Aaron Cameron, who's come from the back of the grid. Now, Bargs Jr., Ben, has had a minor strain, shall we say, around his back. I saw him just making sure he took good care of it earlier in the weekend. He did all the practice yesterday and did the rides with some of our lucky sponsors and friends and so on of the sport. So he's been really doing something quite gritty this weekend in the way he's been driving.
He's been protecting himself, hasn't he, from that little injury. It's been haunting him as D'Alberto comes around to finish another lap. Gaps out to 5.2 seconds. Of course, Bargwanna Jr. spent some time with the Global Tour as well, and looking forward to them coming out and racing on his turf later this year at Sydney Motorsport Park and Bathurst. Under lights, Friday and Saturday night down there. It's going to be beautiful conditions. And looking forward to that event to wrap up the 2023 Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia Series. And gloves off at Mount Panorama for Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International the following weekend. Come and be part of it. We've got special tickets to that event, and once you make a week out of it, come to Sydney, spend some time up in the Blue Mountains, and head down to Bathurst for 3 exhilarating days there in the mountain.
Honestly, it is the most cost-effective ticket for that style of event that I've seen in a long time. I mean, that sounds like us overselling it because we're a part of it, but it really is for the double-header. Sweeney's doing a good job here to stay out of the way of those that are focused on the race. We go back to Bargwana, who's under pressure from Aaron Cameron. They're just over the half-race distance here. There's a great example of the two different spec Hyundais, the newer generation car in the hands of Josh Buchan there, the 30, holding down 5th place. And in behind him, unfortunately, after the dramas from pit lane, where that car struggled to get away, Bailey Sweeney.
21 compared to the 15s around him there right now, but they'll keep an eye on race control, won't they, to make sure he's at least lapping at a acceptable speed out there to be classified at the end of the race as well. At the moment, he'll get 32 points for the day. Josh Buchan will get 40, so the gap will come down to only 8 points as it stands.
That's why he's circulating.
Yeah.
You've got to do it, Matt, don't you? So, as we said before, it's a more compressed championship. You can't afford to have a not finish, a no-point scenario.
So Bargwana and Aaron Cameron, who's definitely the big mover and shaker in this one, from 13th up to 7th.
Garland's done a good job too. I mean, I know he's been passed by Cameron, but he's up 3 places as well, Matt. We probably should make that point. So all 3 of those Peugeots, 6th, 7th and 8th respectively. We go back to the best performer, if you like, for the French mark in the hands of Jordan Cox here, backed by Picture Partners and Schaeffler. He's a driver who's got a huge amount of experience when it comes to front drive racing. Very, very handy in that style of race car. There's that group of 3 we were talking about, and closing in on them now with the lights on is Michael Clementi.
You never get sick of that right rear dancing on the Jordan Cox Peugeot as well, as he runs in 4th position with Buchan just behind. We work lap 14 of race number 1. 2 more to come tomorrow. You'll catch it all live on Stan Sport. Sign up for your 7-day trial now and be part of all the action. It's Will Brown, Tony D'Alberto, Zach Suter, Jordan Cox and Josh Buchan, the top 5, race 1 here at QR.
Just 8 laps remaining here live at Queensland Raceway on Saturday afternoon. You're watching the Shannon's Speed Series. Don't forget, tomorrow we have a massive day of coverage to come your way from morning time on Stan Sport. You can stay with us right throughout the day, from kind of mini endurance competition as far as the Fanatec GT World Challenge is concerned. 2 races for Super Cheap Auto TCR. We've got Trans Am and a whole lot more. And don't forget, of course, too, Porsche Michelin Sprint Challenge. Some of the best youngsters in the sport from both sides of the ditch are here as a part of the tour with us this weekend, and that racing's been a joy to watch.
And for the night house, IndyCar coming up from Indianapolis during the night as well. It's a big, big night coming up on Stan Sport. There's just so much going on right now in the world of motorsport, isn't there? So stay with this battle by Bargwana and Cameron. Expect to see second Peugeot for those guys coming out at Sandown. Clementi with the headlights ablaze, but not really making an impression on the cars ahead here in the Carl Cox Motorsport Cupra. But Brown absolutely controlling this one. 6.6 seconds, and easily the fastest man on the circuit. He set the fastest lap on lap 6 at 1:14.5, and is 4/10ths quicker this lap alone than Tony D'Alberto. At the moment, it should see Brad Harris on the pole for tomorrow, but Tim Slade is just 2, maybe 1.5 seconds now behind the Honda Civic. So we'll focus on that in the closing stages. It'll be a big step up for Sladey if he can put the Lincoln Co on pole for tomorrow.
Just to clarify Matt's point there, if you've not been with us before for Super Cheap Auto TCR, we take the results of this race and we invert the top 10 for race 2. Ordinarily, it's a progressive grid formula in a lot of motor racing that you see. So Harris, who's currently in that blue and white car coming through the corner right now, he is, if things stay the way they are with under 6 laps to go, he's on pole for race 2 tomorrow.
1.1 seconds the margin between those two. Right up here is Tim Slade. Of course, that time of the day where the sun starts to be real punish going through turn 2 lowest down in between the trees and wreaks havoc. You're fully shaded down here on the way to turn 3. I've got to say, a lot of park and view cars here today. And why not? Kind of jealous we've wheeled the car table out over the back there and called some races from over there.
I reckon we could do that. Why can't we do that?
We'll do it tomorrow.
Can we make that happen?
Yeah. Sort of like that. Look, we are still race fans at heart, aren't we?
There's 2 pelicans up on the hill. What have they got to say? Here we go. 7 seconds is the advantage now. He has the fastest lap of the race as well for Will Brown from Tony D'Alberto, who was the driver to beat 12 months ago here in the Honda. You can't quite even see him at the moment. And Zach Suter, it's been a good day out for Zach. He's not quite able to match the times of Will Brown in the similarity at the moment, but that's really positive stuff for the Suters. There he is coming through in the tough lift entry.
Remember, 2 podiums, 2 third-place finishes for Suter and the team. You're watching Zach Suter running in 3rd position here, on target for his 3rd podium in 4 races. So they've really got their head around this tough lift Audi as he goes after reigning champ Tony D'Alberto, who's falling away now from Will Brown. These 2, though, Greg Rust, only separated by 1.7 seconds. The battle, though, for mine is that one for P10.
Tim Slade trying to get it from Harris. And what are we talking there, Matt? 0.6 of a second. So we do need to keep a little watching brief on that. Harris provisionally has the pole for tomorrow's race 2, where we reverse the top 10. Speaking of the most loyal loyalty club, you can see that on the bottom of the screen there, supercheapauto.com. We've got some loyal Super Cheap Auto customers with us enjoying the clubhouse here at Queensland Raceway. One of the pit garages converted to the ultimate place to go and enjoy. There's a pinball machine and all sorts in there, isn't there?
It was great. And the prize wheel, which you managed to win this morning.
The chopper chop. Always wanted to do that, Matthew.
I love their activations. It started off with a nice black leather couch, didn't it, that we couldn't get you out of there a year or so ago. I love their support of Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia. The Shannon Speed Series here in the Sunshine State as we're on lap number 18 at Queensland Raceway.
So there he is, Tim Slade in the background, Lincoln Co. He struggled to get that auto glim entry off the line for whatever reason. Remember, he was almost with us on the tour back in 2020. He'd done some testing in the Alfa Romeo with his good mate in Ash Seward, who he's known since back in 2005. He did sub for Fabian Coulthard, driving at Bathurst, of course, in the Honda Civic Type R. But this is his first outing in this relatively new Lincoln Co. First time we've had one in Australia. It's only a few events old here. Little trouble getting it off the line, but the upside to the fight back for Tim Slade is with a handful of laps to go. If he can get onto the back of Harris here and get by him, he's having a damn good go at it. That represents pole position for race 2 tomorrow.
And it's great for Harris as well, because it's only his 2nd start in the series. And he's running with a fairly experienced guy behind him right now. So he's learning at the same time in this X-Wall Racing Honda Civic, which we'll see a new one debut later this year in the hands of Tony D'Alberto. This will allow, hopefully, Brad's brother Will to step into the 2nd car and further expand Honda's threat in TCR competition. Back to your race leader, who's down at turn number 4, the Liquid Moly KMC Wheels Audi for Melbourne Performance Centre. He claimed their 8th and Audi's 8th pole position earlier today. He won the inaugural championship back in 2019. And when we arrived at Simmons Plains earlier this year, you thought this guy was going to be odds on to win the series after his competitive showings last year in the hands of Jay Hansen. Well, that didn't eventuate. They were plagued with electrical dramas down there. He took a round out, has come back here fully focused, converted it to Astron Tech pole earlier today. There's 8 seconds up the road, stamped his authority in race number 1 here today.
Family have had a car business in Toowoomba for quite some time. He talked about that a little earlier today, and he's been doing some flying, Matt, for a number of years now in all sorts of different planes, and has been endorsed in different machines. And the latest one he shared on social media the other day, a pit special. So that's that's his next project, is learning that kind of stunt flying. So there is another level of endorsement, of training, etc. for a plane like that. Very cool.
When I hear pit special, I hear Chris Baru, the aerobatic legend from back in the days. Some of his stunts were breathtaking to watch. He works his way down into 4 and 5. He's cut 1 million laps around this track and works his way down to what will be the final lap, and just controlled this race from the outset. 60 points. Yeah, he's not in championship contention now, but this is purely to get the confidence back for both he and Melbourne Performance Centre.
So we should get the last lap board. Been a good day out. It's 9.1 seconds. Final lap. There you go. That shows you the waiter. All the way back to Tony D'Alberto, who holds down that second place in the Honda Civic Type R. It's 1.4 then to Zach Suter in the tough lift Audi. So Audi's 1 and 3. That yellow and black entry, though, is run by a smaller kind of family operation. Zach's dad, Shane, competed on the world stage in sidecars, some motorbikes, but Zach went a different direction. Formula Ford, 4 wheels. It's got a great family vibe, that outfit, hasn't it?
I think Dad talked him out of that idea of going sidecar racing. If you've seen some of Shane's racing from back in the 80s, oh boy, those guys were insane back in the day. But here comes Will Brown, and just carrying the left through these double left-hand turns.
Great job by Melbourne Performance too. We probably haven't sung their praises highly enough. You know, there's been some tough, challenging moments for them with these cars. They're here running a raft of Audis, of course, in GT World Challenge as well. Will Brown returns to Super Cheap Auto TCR. Despite all the media interest in other activities, he just gets the job done by almost 10 seconds. He wins convincingly for Liqui here over the reigning champion, Tony D'Alberto, who crosses the line now in the Honda. It is by 10 seconds, just over Zach Suter. That's a really positive third place for him here today.
Another one to add to the list. He'll make his way. Look at this train of cars coming in the background. The third car in that shot is going to be your pole sitter for tomorrow, but it's covered by a blanket at the finish line. Harris is 10th and will start from pole for tomorrow by 0.3 of a second.
Classy driving too. I think he acknowledged Tim Slade in the background there. So we wait to see Bailey Sweeney come by. We'll crunch some numbers for you. Remember, he was leading the points race for Super Cheap Auto TCR, coming in a heartbreaking moment when the car wouldn't fire up. It didn't make it out onto the grid. It was scheduled to start from pit lane, and then that same gremlin reared its ugly head. So he's been able to at least put 32 points in the bank so far this weekend. That's good. But what does it do, Matt, to the...
Unofficially, we'll bring it back to 35 points as it stands right now. But victory number 9 of his career, and he'll be happy to see that next to his name. A W for Will Brown. Tony D'Alberto second with Zach Suter in third. Jordan Cox, Josh Buchan, Ben Barguana, Aaron Cameron from 13th up to 7th. Cody Garland, Michael Clementi and Brad Harris on the pole tomorrow for our inversion race. Tim Slade, Lockie Manif and Bailey Sweeney, who will just be relieved that the HMO customer racing car got to the end and keeps himself at the top of the points chart.
Wow, lots unfolded in that one. Highlights for you. Race 1, Super Cheap Auto TCR. The vacant grid spot was the points leader, Bailey Sweeney, with electrical dramas. Tim Slade could not get the Lincoln Co. off the line. Frustrating. Eventually gets it underway, and he would fight back to finish in 11th spot, but it was Will Brown in the Liqui Audi that took the lead and was never headed.
A bit of feeling between the Audi and the Peugeot in the middle of the turn, and Sweeney, we thought his race was done. They towed him away from the Shannon's pit lane. They got the car re-fired, but he was fighting that car for the balance of that race as he joined one lap down in front. Will Brown just charged his way ahead. This was a long way back for Zach Suter in the toughlift.com.au Audi, going past Jordan Cox. Cox thought about repaying this. Classic Queensland Raceway Turn 3 action right there. In the end, the Victorian youngster, son of Shane Suter, held down that position, wouldn't be challenged for the third spot. But Will Brown, 10 seconds. It's up there as one of the biggest winning margins in Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia. Liqui Moly, KMC and Will Brown, along with Melbourne Performance Centre, back in the winner's circle in TCR competition. A sigh of relief for the team down there. and he looks good for race 2 and race 3 here tomorrow at Queensland Raceway.
So the drivers have arrived back in the lane. The Speed Cafe Victory Lane is where we will take you very, very shortly. And on that note, here we go. Let's take you there right now.
Thank you very much. Zach Suter just reaching into his Honda. And I tell you what, welcome back to Speed Cafe Victory Lane. It was a tough start to the year, but your form has come good, hasn't it?
Well, I don't know about that. We had a pretty bad qualifying. We were rubbish, you know. We were nowhere in qualifying. The balance was just, way out. But my amazing team worked really hard between quality and the race there, and we got it back in the window. So, the car was really good then. Just track position coming from 7th wasn't on our side, but excellent work. Just so happy for the crew. Tough lift. There's so many of them here today, and from Spices as well. Really good result for them.
Hey, you deserve it. Well done.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
So Zach Suter there in 3rd in his Audi. Move on down to Tony D'Alberto, our defending champion. We spoke to you on the grid, TD, and it's quite clear that you need a good weekend, and you've just done that with 2nd place. You must be pretty excited.
Yeah, really happy with that. We have had a rough couple of rounds, and last year was good to us here, and this weekend I think that's probably the best we can get for now. So, as they all say, we'll tune it up overnight. We'll have another crack tomorrow, but I'm not sure whether we can tune too much more out of this old girl. But very happy, and just happy for the boys at Wall Racing and Honda as well.
And that new car coming in the near future. We look forward to that. Congrats, well done.
Thanks.
So our winner, he's back. He's back in Super Cheap Auto TCR. He's back with the #1 in front of his car in Speed Cafe Victory Lane, and he's smiling. Will Brown, you have had a torrid year. That must mean the world.
Yeah, it's great to finally get a win this year and get out there. We had absolutely no dramas, and the car was a rocket. I just need to probably get it off the line a bit better. The boys caught me a bit there, but overall the car was just a rocket, just able to sort of keep to that low 15 and sort of drive away, which was absolutely awesome.
What do you say to the team? Because it was pretty hard for those opening couple of months, and there's obviously put a lot of work in it to get this car back and reliable.
Yeah, it's awesome for the boys at MPC and Liquid Moly. They've worked so hard. They were so disappointed when it had problems at the start of the year, and they put so much time into it back at the workshop to get us out there and try and get that race win. So you probably saw it on all of their faces then. They were absolutely stoked, and it was just a great race.
For you, mate, you extended your standing as the most wins that we've seen in the history of this sport. It's about the world ranking final too, isn't it? It's about collecting points for that, right, for you?
Yeah, it is about that. Obviously, we'll look at that further on we go in, and it's really about the two world rounds in Australia here. So, it's awesome to get running here and be up the front battling with all these guys, and I'm looking forward to that when the world guys come over.
Well, it's been a massive 24 hours. Congratulations. May you go and celebrate this victory.
Cheers. Thank you.
9th victory of his career. First one since the Bathurst International last year for Will Brown, as he celebrates down there in Speed Cafe Victory Lane. And not too far away from our podium soon. Here's the championship points though. Bailey Sweeney led coming in, and it stays the same, but a small margin now than what we had earlier today. 419 points, 28 back to Josh Buchan, back to Jordan Cox, and then this little pack between Cameron D'Alberto and Maneath, chuck in Ben Barguana as well, with Clementi, Garland and Tom Oliphant. The top 10 in the championship after race #1 of the Shannon Speed Series. Let's go back to Fabian Coulthard.
I'm down here with Bailey Sweeney, our championship leader. Not the way we wanted to start that race.
Yeah, for sure. Nothing really went our way in that one. In between sessions, we flicked the car off and it was fine. And then as soon as we flicked it back on, we had an electrical fault. So we think it's battery related, and we didn't have one in the truck to change it for the race. So yeah, tough one there, that's for sure.
The car's got a lot of pace. Obviously good to get the car back out there.
Yeah, having pace is probably the most difficult part. I was looking forward to battling with Brownie. I haven't really battled with him all year with his issues. Now we have issues, so yeah, double bummer, and we'll be off the pole of the back tomorrow as well. So yeah, it's put our weekend on the back foot when we had good pace. So yeah, difficult to take.
Well, hopefully you get it sorted for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, breathe a sigh of relief. At least he's got the championship margin still there. As the sun sets here at Queensland Raceway tonight, get ready for Rugby World Cup. The warm-up games are kicking off at 2:20 Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's England versus Wales, then France tackling Scotland. Exclusive, ad-free, live on demand on your home of rugby, Stan Sport.
They must use the extra man, and England do, just in the nick of time for Wales.
Look at the white jerseys lining out here. France have their first try, and straight through the middle it's Hugh Jones, and Scotland do have their try.
Well, if that doesn't drive a little emotion, I'm afraid you don't have any.
2:20 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning right here on Stan Sport. Well, we're only halfway through the weekend and we're in the second half of the Shannon Speed Series. After Queensland Raceway, we head back to the iconic Sandown Raceway.
The next stop for the Shannon Speed Series is Sandown International.